Hare Krishna.
So we're doing another reading of the Srimad Bhagavatam, which we call Bhagavatam Bites, because they're little bites, little nuggets of nectar from the Srimad Bhagavatam.
Canto 4, Chapter 28, Text 38.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Text 38. By worshipping, executing austerities, and following the regulative principles, King Malaya Dwaja conquered his senses, his life, and his consciousness. Thus he fixed everything on the central point of the Supreme Brahman, Krishna. Purport. Whenever the word Brahman appears, the impersonalists take this to mean the impersonal effulgence, the Brahma Jyoti. However, actually, Parabrahman, the Supreme Brahman, is Krishna Vasudeva, as stated in Bhagavad Gita 7.19, Vasudeva Savam Iti. Vasudeva extends everywhere as the impersonal Brahman. One cannot fix one's mind upon an impersonal something. Bhagavad Gita 12.5 therefore says, Klesho adhikataras tesham avyakta shakta chetasham. For those whose minds are attached to the unmanifested, impersonal feature of the Supreme, advancement is very troublesome. Consequently, when it is said herein that King Malayadvaja fixed his mind on Brahman, Brahman means the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva. It's interesting that Prabhupada saying that. What's he saying? The impersonalists take the word Brahman to me to be the impersonal effulgence, right? And Prabhupada is saying, however, the Supreme Brahman is Krishna. So I'm just wondering what the contradiction would be, because that's the definition. If you're an impersonalist, you're not looking for the personal form of Krishna. So you are going to take the impersonal to be the Supreme. I'm a Mayavadi, I'm an impersonalist. So that's what I lean towards.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to take that aspect of Krishna. And there's no contradiction with what even though they may not accept it, but the fact is there's no contradiction that, because Prabhupada is saying that, well, the Supreme Brahman is Krishna, okay. So as personists, we accept there's a form of the Lord, and there's localized form, and then there's the effulgent form. Okay, so then as a yogi sitting in the forest, I'm just focusing on the localized form, Lord in the heart, Lord is. And then as a Vaishnava or whatever, I'm focusing on Bhava Krishna or Krishna, grown up, whatever. And then as an impersonalist, I'm taking the effulgent form of Brahman. So it's only natural that if I'm an impersonalist, I'm going to lean towards and take the impersonal aspect of Brahman. But I guess what Prabhupada's saying is that the problem is, because that's not a problem from what I see, but the problem is that the Mayavadis, the impersonalists, are a bit silly in that they just say everything is Brahman, meaning and we also say, everything is Brahman,
Everything
material, spirit, everything, but the problem with them is everything meaning it's all just formless Brahman, And the difference is that we say, everything is Brahman, in that it's effulgence, it's a localized form, and ultimately it's the personal form. So we say the same thing, but they stop at the effulgence part and say, that's everything is Brahman. So that's where they're a bit devi in that way, to use a technical term. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, wasn't 100% sure what your main point was with what Prabhupada was saying and what you were saying, but it was nicely clarified.
Okay.
As far as all that. But yeah, the thing is with Mayavad philosophy is that there's a difference between a Brahmavadi and a Mayavadi. A Brahmavadi, which is what the four Kumaras were when they, actually, and what Shukadeva Goswami was originally when he appeared from the womb. He was a Brahmavadi. The four Kumaras were Brahmavadis when they entered the gates of Vaikuntha, before they smelled the tulsi emanating from the lotus feet of the Lord, which happened after they cursed Jai and Vijay. So there's a difference between a Brahmavadi, one who sees everything as Brahman and understands that the supreme aspect of Godhead or godliness or God is impersonal, versus someone who believes and sees the Mayavadis believe that all aspects of, they believe Brahman, the impersonal effulgence of the Lord, the impersonal effulgence is the supreme, and they believe that anything here in the material world that emanates or manifests is Maya. So they believe that even the Lord, when He comes and His incarnations, they're also Maya.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, and this becomes a distinct difference, whereas we, and likely the Brahmavadis, accept that that aspect of the Lord is distinctly spiritual. It's not Maya. Like our bodies are covered by the illusory energy, the material body is Maya. They equate the Lord's body, when He comes to the material world, as also being Maya. But for us, that is unacceptable. There's no way that the Lord is ever overcome by His own internal energy unless He allows Himself to be, but then that's called Yoga Maya, not Mahamaya. So He doesn't become illusory, right? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's kind of the main difference. So there are, even in the impersonalist world, there are different schools. So there's the Mayavadi impersonalists, and then there's the Brahmavadi impersonalists. And then beyond that also is a level of impersonalism, which is the Buddhist perspective, which is Shunyavad, which is that everything is nothing. Everything is nothing. There's no idea of God or His effulgence. Everything ultimately is nothing, and everything here is simply Maya. But we can achieve enlightenment by merging into nothingness, into emptiness. Does that make sense? Okay, you look like...
I'm listening, it's fine.
Okay. Yeah, so anyway, so like that. But then obviously it goes to the personal aspect, and or like you explained, Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavan iti sabdyate. That there are these three aspects, and all of them can coexist. Which is interesting because Radhanath Maharaj, I'm listening, just finishing, almost finished, like probably about 15 minutes away from finishing the audiobook of Journey Home. And when he was meeting Prabhupada in Vrindavan, he got a chance to ask Prabhupada, or someone asked, I don't think he asked him directly, but it was an ongoing thing throughout his travels, that which is higher, this impersonal understanding or the personal understanding. Even though some of his teachers were personalists and really were, but he never could reconcile it. And then Prabhupada gave basically a talk saying exactly what you said, that there are all aspects of the personal. So there's no, there is the impersonal aspect. That is a valid aspect of the Lord. That is a valid way to approach the Lord. It just may not be the highest level of understanding. And the localized Paramatma, and then the Bhagavan or personal form of the Lord. So, yeah, good points. But Mayavad, Brahmavad, and also Shunyavad are like that. And Prabhupada came specifically, his mantras, Namaste Saraswati Devi, Gauravani Pracharane, Nirvishesha, and Shunyavad, Paschacha Deshatanine, that he comes to destroy this Nirvishesh, which is Mayavad, and Shunyavad, which is like, more or less like Buddhism and personalism. Yeah. Should we read on? 39? Yeah. Excuse me. Text 39. In this way he stayed immovable in one place for 100 years by the calculation of the demigods. After this time, he developed pure devotional attraction for Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and remained fixed in that position. Oh, wow. This is a Bhagavad Gita verse. Oh, of course, it's the purport. Sorry, I thought it was the next verse. Purport. Bahunam janmanam ante gyanavan mam prapadyate vasudeva sarvam iti sa mahatma sadurlabaha. After many births and deaths, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that is. Such a great soul is very rare. Vasudeva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is everything, and one who knows this is the greatest of all transcendentalists. It is stated in Bhagavad Gita that one realizes this after many, many births. This is also confirmed in this verse with the words Divyam Varsha Shatam, 100 years according to the calculation of the demigods. According to the calculation of the demigods, one day, 12 hours, is equal to 6 Krishna. Is equal to 6 months on earth. Okay. So half a day is equal to 6 months on earth. Half a day of the demigods is 6 months on earth. A full day would be equal to 1 year. So, a full day. So 1 day. So 12 hours is equal to 6 months on earth. 100 years of the demigods would equal 36,000 earth years. Lord have mercy. King Malaya Dwaja executed 6,000. Sorry.
What's happening? That's King Malaya Dwaja executed. See, he's experiencing the sleep aspect of the demigod years. So he's sleeping now for like 12 months, which is 1 day.
No, actually, if the truth be told, what's wrong is that my glasses are no longer the strength they need to be. So as I'm looking at a distance, if I move ever so slightly, it becomes blurred. And so I have to actually look through the bottom because these are varifocals. So that's why I need to bring it closer. But thus King Malaya
Oh my Lord.
Thus King Malaya Dwaja executed austerities and penances for 36,000 years. After this time, he became fixed in the devotional service of the Lord. To live on earth for so many years, one has to take birth many times. This confirms the conclusion of Krishna. To come to the conclusion of Krishna consciousness and remain fixed in the realization that Krishna is everything, as well as render service unto Krishna, are characteristics of the perfectional stage. As said in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela 22:62, Krishna Bhakti Kaila Sarva Karma Krita Hai. When one comes to the conclusion that Krishna is everything, by worshiping or by rendering devotional service unto Krishna, one actually becomes perfect in all respects. Not only must one come to the conclusion that Krishna is everything, but he must remain fixed in this realization. This is the highest perfection of life. And it is this perfection that King Malaya Dwaja attained at the end. Well, the thing that stands out for me is 36,000 Earth years does not necessarily mean that one has to take several births. That's only if you're in Kali Yuga. We understand that Dhruva Maharaj was in Satya Yuga. He meditated for so many thousands of years. Different personalities. Later we'll hear about the Prachetas. I forget how many years they were underwater, but they didn't take birth again. They were just in a different yuga. So it's a little bit interesting that Prabhupada kind of pulls on that point, that 36,000 years, because what is it? In Satya Yuga, people live for 100,000 years, right? In Treta Yuga, they live for 10,000 years, and then in Dwapara Yuga for like 1,000 years, and then in Kali Yuga 100 years, something like that. So, but I guess maybe he's speaking that because this was in a different age. This was in, maybe this was in, well, if it was anything other than Satya Yuga, it wouldn't really work. So like that. Okay, interesting. Any thoughts? Okay. Should we conclude here?
Yeah.
Seems like you really have something to say, but you're not saying it.
No, I've got nothing to say. I'm just pondering what I've read and just thinking about it.
Okay, internalizing. All right. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.